So it's really something cool to see, like, the worship leader at Chris would be singing at Ballantine. He'd be singing the song, and everything is getting streamed in live time, and the campuses are actually playing. So he's singing the song, and they're playing live, but it's at the same time. So
yeah, that's intense.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's Elevation Church. How did that opportunity come to be for you?
Wow.
They took you away from us.
At about 30, when I turned 30, life went upside down. I ended up doing some time in the Middle East. I should have said
he
it
got
like
arrested.
That was really
East?
rough. Let me.
Hold on, what?
I stopped MDing.
You were in prison in Baghdad? What's going on?
bro.
I was just finding this out now.
That sounded really horrible. Man.
Yeah, we all
time.
got like,
okay.
wait, hold on.
So I stopped MDing at my old church and started working at Walmart in a warehouse. And one of my friends, Jeff, he hit me up one day and he's like, "Hey, we got this opportunity to go to Dubai and play music." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, bro. That's a hoax. Whatever." He's like, "No, this is serious."
Nigerian prince wrote me, I swear.
Right. So I and here's the other thing. It's like it's part of the evolution of who I am. Because I had only grown up in church, only known the church box. And I'm sure if you talk with guys that have been in the similar kind of scenarios, it has its pros and it has its cons. Growing up in church, it's my foundation. It's what I do. It's what I love. But there can sometimes be a little bit of a disconnect between what's really going on in the real world. And that's when we talk about like, well, are they even having any influence? Are they even being effective nowadays? Because like, you still fighting about tattoos and ripped jeans and hair dye, like.
Yeah.
All right. If you want to waste time talking about that. But I left and so we did this audition and this is the first time I had ever, it was like a 360 because in church it was like, don't be too showy because, God don't like that. Don't move too much because, we want you to be excited. But the moment that you get a little too excited, all of a sudden and going to performing where you have to be on, like you're the main show, you're the attraction. Right. So we did end up getting the gig. Went to Dubai. And
did some time.
did the circuit out there. I got engaged during Ramadan. Came back, and then it was like a couple months in. She called me and she's like, "Babe, I think you need to come home now." And I had been feeling like I need to come home, which is scary when you leave what you've been building for, a certain amount of time. Yeah. You lose connects, and life has to go on. Definitely. Like, people are gonna fill your gig, or like. That's it's not true, to say that you got forgotten, but place, like life goes on. So you're coming back. And you're like starting from ground zero, like you're literally starting from the bottom again. Yeah. And so we ended up. That was the first time I heard of Elevation Church when I was in the Middle East. And it was like, one of those. It was like a surreal moment where I flipped open my laptop, was watching on YouTube, watching my pastor, and he said, "Doesn't matter what you've done, doesn't matter where you've been. God loves you, has a call for you on your life. It's time for you to come home." And it was too close to what we had been talking about to me to be a coincidence. So told my band, handed in my 2 weeks. Broke out of jail, Matt. Handed in my 2 weeks and then so left. We went back to Calgary actually. So I didn't go right back to Toronto. I went back to Calgary. It was surreal because I couldn't do music. Like Calgary really didn't have I don't know, man. It was weird. I was at a good place. I was newly married. learning about marriage and just enjoying that phase of life. And I set up all my keyboards in our apartment, and I would play and I would practice, but didn't want to go work in another church at the time. Didn't want to do any of that. So ended up using my biology degree and went back into pharmacy. So I was legit going to go back into pharmacy in Calgary.
Wow.
So worked at London Drugs as a pharmacy tech for a while. But during that, I would follow Elevation. And it was the strangest thing. So when we initially started talking about going backwards to learn foundations, I would wake up every morning, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and just get up and practice. I didn't know what I was practicing for. I didn't have a job. I didn't have nothing lined up. But I would get up and I was cutting up things. I'd be, listening to jazz standards and working on my chops and just getting better. Got to say shout out to Chick Corea, one of the greats who just left us. Was doing that, and then on Sunday, because the church service would be streaming live, we would hook up our laptop and we would watch, and I would play along.
Oh wow!
So I would play along with the songs, just me in my living room, just play along, and I didn't know. They were asking to do auditions, and my wife came in one day and she's like, "Hey, you need to do this audition," and I was like, "Nah, I'm not really trying to do that." Plus. They're in America, man. They must have thousands of keyboard players just lining up, ready to get at the, So I got home one day from work. She was waiting for me at the door.
Wow.
And she's like, "You're going to do this audition." So she filmed it. We did the audition. Time passed. I sent the audition in. They called me originally and said, "Hey, do you want to come down to do the live audition?" But things didn't work out. So I still stayed in Calgary. And then we decided that our time in Calgary was up, so we went back to Toronto. We had a house in Brampton, back to our house in Brampton.
Wow.
And we're going to start over again.
Yeah.
So this time I'm working at McKesson, Canada. So I had, music was just
hobby.
It was just something that I did in the background at least. Still practicing, it's still a part of me, but I just wanted to be a good husband and provide for my family and do all that stuff. So the audition, went to Elevation Church in Toronto and just started serving there, just started playing, just wanted to be on the team. When I walked in, you know how people from your past, there's always somebody from your past that kind of trickles into where you want to be. So I walk in, they don't really have a keyboard player. This old dude from my old church. Oh my God, LJ's here? Oh wow, did the whole thing. I was just trying to sneak in the back, mind my own business, slide out.
Yeah.
This guy, I gotta thank him for it because it has me where I am today. But he talked to the MD, and the MD there was like, "Well, if you want to join the team, there's an audition that we usually do." And I was like, "Oh, you mean like this audition?" Because I had it on my phone from a year and a half ago.
Oh.
So I showed him that audition, and he's like, "Yeah." So, and you know what, man? I was good. I was good to just do that for the rest of my days. I wasn't looking to do anything else. We were at a school at the time, so we would get up at 5 a.m, set up, play 2 songs. Got to see the whole point-to-point thing from Charlotte. And I was like, man, this is cool. Pack up, go home. We moved to a new location. One of the worship leaders from down here went up there, heard me play, and I didn't know that they were looking for a guy with a unique set of skills down here in Charlotte to play. So I'm 40, Pastor Steven's 41. So we grew up in the same era, in the same time, with the same music, same hymns, whatnot. He didn't grow up Baptist. I don't want to say he grew up Protestant, but he grew up in one of those denominations, just like me, who we sang a lot of hymns. And so they were looking for a guy that could play hymns, but could play gospel as well, because Pastor Stephen's a gospel head. I'm gonna tell you, he's a gospel head. Like he's like a real one, and
A real one.
and yeah, he's a real one. Like like a real one. His first text to me about gospel was like, yeah, he sent me James Hall, God Wants a Yes, and he said top 10 gospel song of all time.
Wow.
Now, you gotta know gospel to know James Hall in New York and all that stuff. Brooklyn, So, the worship leader that was in Toronto took my name back down and said, hey man, you gotta hear this guy LJ play. He's at the Toronto campus. Then Mac, who was there at the time, said, wait a minute, was that the guy that sent his audition in 2 years ago from Calgary but couldn't come down? And then Mac messaged me, which I thought was another hoax, because like these are like the big time guys to me now. He's like, hey, you know, I remember your audition for a couple of years ago. You wanna come down and do this audition? And then they said, but there's one catch, you know, we're looking for a specific guy. Do you know these songs? And he sent me a list of all these hymns, which I had, like I told you, my dad was a song. He
grew up on,
so I grew up playing all of those. And then there was a list, and then the list got weird because it was like all this Israel Houghton stuff. I'm a big Israel Houghton fan, like huge. Aaron Lindsay, New Breed, all that stuff. And then there was some gospel stuff in the list. There was like Vashawn Mitchell. There was some weird stuff in the list, and I was like, yeah. And I wrote them back, and I was trying to be humble, trying to be Canadian. Sorry, man, no lie. I probably don't know about 5 of these songs.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they've heard that before.
Yeah.
So flew down at our Blakeney campus. I met Chris, geeked out a little bit because that was like my dude that I would see on TV all the time. And I mean, the rest is history, man. Sat down, did the audition, and kind of never turned back, man. Just came down, and the rest has been a beautiful journey from where I started to where I am.
Now you're the MD there?
I'm actually the broadcast worship director, so I was the MD.
Can you explain to our audience real quick,
though,
what a musical director does, and specifically what your role would do in a church setting?
All right. So when I first...
Yes.
No. When I first got down here 5 years ago, all I was Pastor Stevens' keys guy. So he would preach, I play keys, and then I was a part of the team. Then I wasn't even directing the band. There was another great guy named Lance who was directing the band. Lance transitioned, and then I became the music director, which would be the guy who would be calling everything to all the other campuses.
A lot of you are familiar with the DNA Project and have been rocking with us for a while, but some of you aren't. A lot of you are faithful listeners of the podcast, but aren't familiar with some of the other work that we do. So I just want to take a quick moment to explain to you a little bit more of what we do. So you're getting married, or you have a friend, a cousin, a sister, somebody you know is getting married. Okay. You've booked your venue, caterers, photographer, all that good stuff. When it comes to live music, most people have no idea where to look. We have you covered. Picture this. During the ceremony, while guests are being seated, or while the bride's walking down the aisle. During the cocktail hour, while guests are just mingling and having a good time. Don't forget about dinner music. That's very important to set the mood while guests eat. And we definitely can't forget the party. Let's get the party started right now with the DNA Project. www.thednaproject.ca for more information.